Good evening. The Rio Rancho Public Schools Board of Education meeting for Monday, August 26th is now called to order. If all would please arise for the Pledge of Allegiance, Vice President Jeff Morgan will lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, JC, would you do a roll call for us?
President Galbraith?
Present?
Vice President Morgan?
Present.
Secretary Tyler?
Present.
Board Member Tripp?
Present.
Board Member Miller?
Present.
Public quorum.
Okay, thank you. Board Secretary Tyler will be virtual tonight, so you'll hear her voice kind of coming in through the ceiling. I would like to welcome everyone out tonight. We have not a ton on our agenda today. Well, it depends on how you look at it. So we'll see how we go through everything tonight. But we'd like to go ahead and start our meeting tonight with some introductory comments by our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Visu Cleveland.
Good evening and welcome everyone. Thank you for being with us this evening. Prior to this meeting, the Audit Committee met. The Audit Committee is a statutorily created committee that has the responsibility of oversight for school districts in New Mexico to ensure that the district's financial reporting, our internal controls, governance, and risk management are effective and reliable. And so the Audit Committee met prior to the regular board meeting and met in a closed session as permitted under the following New Mexico Code NMSA in 1978, Section 10-15-1 of the Open Meetings Act. And the Audit Committee meets monthly until the audit is concluded and sent to the state auditor. We have this evening commendation related to school counselors. And I wanted to just share a little bit of background with you. Rio Rancho Public School has a total of 60 school personnel who serve our students and families in the district. 51 of those individuals are school-based counselors. We have some additional folks who work as student attendants, advisors, and are working on their counseling degree. And then we have some social workers who work primarily with general education students in our district. And all of these are valuable staff members, and they do provide social, emotional, and academic support for students. Our social workers also provide pretty extensive support for our parents. Our counselors have really responded to a dramatic increase in the numbers and severity of issues that arise daily in our schools. And when we saw this rise, the district did respond with additional counselors over the last couple of years. It's made a tremendous difference, still a tremendous amount of need out there. We depend on their knowledge and their expertise to help our students learn and to successfully adapt to a school environment. And you can see in the visual, there's so many things that they do. They assist in dealing with a crisis, and we have a good number of those. They help to apply interpersonal skills. They help students learn academic achievement strategies. They provide academic planning and goal setting, especially at our high schools. Listen and provide support at all levels. And one of the things that we've seen coming out of COVID was a lot of our young people really struggle to regulate their emotions. And so working with our students in our classrooms to help them learn how to do that, how to control and manage their emotions in stressful situations. And always, our counselors always are advocates for our student needs in the district. And so such an important part of our district. They add so much help and support. And we're very honored to be able to recognize one of our counselors this evening. We have an award recipient, Angel Brown, who is at Vista Grande Elementary, and she's a counselor there, and she has been recognized as the New Mexico School Counselor of the Year, and so we're excited about that. Information about this special commendation will be presented by Sherry Carver and Mariah Affentranger, and they will also tell you a little bit information about another program as well. And then the Open Meetings Act resolution. This is an annual requirement of all school boards. David Mann will be presenting. David, of course, is our general counsel for Rio Rancho Public School District. As I said, the board has to approve this every year, and this act describes how a public body conducts public business. This act specifies which meetings are open. In other words, where constituents can come, view, and hear the proceedings. And it also identifies the very few exceptions when meetings can or are required to be closed. And those, of course, are executive sessions. We have an issuance and sale of general obligation school bonds this evening. The board is asked to consider approval of a bond resolution to authorize the issuance and sale of general obligation bonds. The presentation will be made by Chris Muirhead and Catherine McKinney. Both are bond counsels associated with the Module Sperling firm, and Eric Harrigan, our financial advisor, who you have had speak to you on numerous occasions. Financial information and a lot of background data was presented at the August 12th meeting for the board to be able to review before this evening. We also have a memo of understanding. The board is being asked to consider approval of a memorandum of understanding between the district and West Ed. This is a study that will be conducted over a 2-year period for grades 6 through 8, and it permits our district to participate in the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation grant. This study is entitled A Study of the Implementation and Impact of High-Quality Mathematics Curriculum Study, and this study is supported by the Public Education Department. The anticipated benefit is to obtain pertinent information that will help drive instructional improvement in mathematics throughout the district. This study does not change the math curriculum that the board has adopted and that we are using in our middle schools. In addition, it will provide quality professional development for our math instructors at the middle school level. And so very excited about having the board consider this this evening. The math group that works with this is illustrative mathematics, and we think it will provide really good information as we strive to move our mathematics programs forward. And then, as you well know, this is the evening the board looks at the resolutions for the New Mexico School Boards Association for the upcoming legislative session. Each year, the board submits resolutions for the New Mexico School Board Association to consider for use in their legislative platform. Many of these items are already included in our own district legislative platform. This year will be a 60-day session. It will begin on the 21st of January, and it will end on March the 22nd. A list was compiled based on the feedback received from the board, and then additionally the input from the board that we received at the August 12th meeting has been incorporated into the resolutions. And so the board is asked to review and approve the resolutions as amended, and the submission deadline is September 9th, 2024. So we have a little bit of time, but I would really like to get those out of the way if at all possible. But there is still time to make some changes if we didn't capture everything that you wanted in the resolutions. And just very quickly, the resolutions, one relates to investing in our state's future through career technical education. One is on the competitive benefits package for all employees, funding actual transportation costs for all districts, and funding safety needs. And certainly we have received some support from the state in these areas. I think the difference that we're looking at with regards to this is to incorporate those into the regular SEG as an annual kind of funding rather than a grant here and a grant there. For example, safety needs, they're ongoing, they're more demanding than in the past, and they're expensive. As you know, we put Evolve systems in our high schools, and moving that now to our middle schools. We'd like to have that in all of our schools, but also security, other safety kinds of expenses. I would like to see them actually fund that regularly every year. And certainly on transportation, We got our full allocation this year for the first time in 15 years, but still very short on buses to be able to get back to a single tier in elementary. So those are very important resolutions. And then we have teacher licensure advancement changes. And the primary change to that is the inclusion of a master's degree as one of the options that will allow teachers to advance, and that they are not locked into either the credentialing process or the national board. Just one more option we feel is a really good option and a better option than the credentialing. Funding for special education teachers and education assistant positions. And I had one question from one of the board members. I thought it was a very good question. Is this for all special education teachers and educational assistants? The proposal initially is only for those with the highest need students because we can't find people to do those jobs. And maybe at some point it might change to include all special ed, but right now it's for those highest need classrooms. And then funding priority capital projects. And as you well know, we have just seen the prices of construction, equipment, everything just skyrocket. I don't think we've ever seen a time when they grew as fast, and it's leaving all school districts very short on projects that they need to finish. And so asking, and the lead on this was taken by the Albuquerque School District, but several districts have joined in it to try to find some kind of funding to be able to finish those projects. And looking at new projects through PSFA, PSCOC, to take into account the actual cost for building or for other kinds of maintenance construction activity, make them realistic based on current costs. And then the last is cybersecurity funding to protect the public schools in New Mexico. As you know, we've had some districts that have already had a really bad experience with this. That also is expensive. There's nothing within our formula for either physical safety or for cybersecurity safety. And both of those are just vital to protecting our records, our students, our funding. So those are the resolutions that the board has seen, has provided input into, and will be asked to approve this evening. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns?
Any questions from you? Okay, thank you, Dr. Cleveland. I do feel like we are so much better on our resolutions this year. There's been years that we've had to get extensions or we do it that night, so we're doing
usually
good.
at the last minute, almost running them to Santa Fe. And so, yeah, this is nice.
We're doing
This is
good.
nice.
We're doing great. So, all right. I know. All right, thank you. So I'll now go to approve the prioritized agenda and proposed time allocations.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, I make a motion to approve the prioritized agenda and proposed time allocations.
Board Member Gary Tripp, second.
We have a motion by Jeff Morgan and a second by Gary Tripp. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0. All right, we'll now move into our commendations, and we have a lot of wonderful visitors here today, which is fun. So it's for our New Mexico School Counselor of the Year, Angel Brown from Vista Grande. So Sherry Carver, our Executive Director of Student Services, and Mariah Affentranger, our Director of Counseling, will present this.
Good evening. Nope. Is it on? Good evening, President Galbraith, members of the board, and Dr. Cleveland. Tonight we are celebrating a very talented special counselor. But first, I want to thank all of our counselors for their continued dedication to supporting student well-being. As we discussed during past presentations, students must feel safe. They have to feel emotional well-being and feel connected to their school before they're actually ready to learn. And as we've talked about, and as Dr. Cleveland pointed out in her opening remarks, we've had lots of challenges regulating students and rebuilding that connection after the pandemic. But our counselors throughout the district have been a tremendous support for that endeavor, and we just couldn't have done it without them. So I just want to thank every counselor, general education social worker, all the support staff that we have in this endeavor tonight. And then secondly, I want to thank the board and Dr. Cleveland for supporting the additional staff that we brought on. We couldn't have done that, all of the things that we accomplished without those additional staff. And I'm so proud to say that Rio Rancho is very near to the national recommendation of having the ratio of, I think it's one counselor to every 250 kids. So we're very near to that ratio. Many districts in the state are not even close to that. So my thank you to the board, Dr. Cleveland, and thank you to our counselors. Mariah Affentranger is going to introduce our wonderful counselor tonight.
I like to talk, so I went ahead and made a script so I wouldn't go off topic. Good evening, everybody. I also cry a little bit sometimes, so I get emotional. It is with such excitement that I present to you our New Mexico School Counselor Association Counselor of the Year, Angel Brown. Can she come stand with us right now?
Yes, please.
This award is given to one school counselor in the state every year, and it recognizes individuals who show exceptional care and dedication to the students in their school. And I'm going to let Miss Chrissy Prescott share what Angel means to Vista Grande, but I am going to take a minute because I think it's super important to share for just a minute on what she means to our counseling department and the Rio Rancho Public Schools. And I'm going to quote Angel because she says she hit the jackpot when she was hired at Vista Grande 9 years ago, but we're the real winners here. Angel puts her heart and her soul into her work. She never hesitates to come to the table. And we have asks in our department. We ask our counselors, hey, can you lead this committee? Can you maybe be in charge of this? And I'm going to be honest when I say sometimes we don't have people that are raising their hands and jumping up with enthusiasm. But Angel never hesitates. And right now she is our elementary coordinator of our professional development. She is our resource counselor for our McKinney-Vento kiddos. And those are families who have been displaced from their homes. So she and her partner at her school work with our whole district to support those families. And every year I ask her to mentor a new counselor in our district. And it's not, see, I'm going off script. It's not surprising that I do that because she can grow up counselors and they can see her and emulate her and maybe be a little bit more like her as they grow. And I really feel like if I had yet another thing, I would see Angel's hand come up and she said, I'll do that, Mariah. So I'm just going to say thank you. Thank you to you for being such an integral part of our school district. And I know her family's in the back. And I want to shout out Austin and Addie and Asher and her dad. And I see her stepmom back there too. And we thank you because she is a product of you and your family. And we appreciate her every day. So I'm going to shush now and I'm going to let Chrissy talk.
Good evening. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here. And I am thrilled to celebrate, I call her our Angel Brown. So just really quickly, I did not prepare anything like Mariah. I'm just, going from come here, just for her. So 9 years ago, I was a pretty brand new assistant principal. I had a year under my belt and sat in interviews for our counselor. And Angel walks in. She is starting her career. And she walks in. She has this amazing interview. And we knew right away that we needed Angel Brown in our school. And we haven't looked back since because she brings peace and love and all the things necessary to all the humans on our campus, little and grown. She just emulates everything a school counselor should be. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that as a leader of a school, she has helped me grow in so many ways and support our whole entire community and our school. So we are so grateful every day that she walks our halls. She knows all of our kids. And if you ask any of our Grizzlies who their person would be, it's usually the teachers and our amazing school counselors. So we're grateful every day for those relationships they build and the things that she does and her partner behind closed doors and for our families, including our food pantry, our backpack program, and anything that our staff and community and students need as well. And I am also very excited because her partner, Katie Doss, she is our second school counselor at Vista Grande, and want to give a shout out to her because she is the president of the New Mexico School Counselors Association. So we're so lucky because I feel like our school is we're just grateful every day for all the social emotional supports that we receive from these two amazing and wonderful human beings on our campus every day. So thank you so much. And Angel Brown.
Oh, okay, so I had to write something too because I go off the cuff sometimes. But it is an absolute pleasure to be here today. And it's an honor to have received this award. It's also very humbling to hear the things that my supervisors shared about me. We've had two other counselors in our district receive this award. In 2017, Katie Doss received it. And then in 2020, Alicia Fetro received it. And it's amazing. And I am truly grateful that I get to represent the phenomenal professionals of Rio Rancho Public Schools on a state level again. I have worked for Rio Rancho Public Schools at Vista Grande Elementary for the past 8 years. And I feel that the support that I received through exemplary leadership in our district and at Vista Grande, as well as the support I received from the teachers, educational staff, parents, and our community around our school counseling program have led to me receiving this award. It is through a true partnership that I'm able to fulfill my duty of supporting all of our Grizzlies for the past 8 years. So thank you, short and sweet.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
I'm going to talk about you now, even though you're sitting. No, you're good.
You ever seen that meme? Oh, I don't know what I'm
We just like to hold people here forever, so because it's our favorite part. I just want to say thank you. It was interesting because as Dr. Cleveland in her remarks was, talking about our counselors, all of these memories came flooding in mostly from my middle school and high school time and with counselors and different interactions that I had with them. And I'm just so grateful for all that they did for me. And I know that the students at that school are so, so grateful for everything that you're doing. And so just thank you. Thank you for being strong. Thank you for taking everything on. It sounds like you're like the ultimate multitasker. And so thank you so much for all that you do for our schools. Does anyone on the board want to give them an opportunity as well? Go ahead, Beth.
Yes, congratulations to you. Thank you for being a mentor also for other counselors. I think that's important as well as for parents often in what you do. And appreciate your dedication and your compassion and your kindness and your love for children. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Gary Tripp, you want to add anything?
I just want to say thank you. I want to thank you and all the elementary educators that do so much for our kiddos. They're wonderful, but you all are wonderful. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for your support, and don't ever think that what you do does not make a difference, because it does. So keep doing what you're doing. And again, on behalf of the board, thank you so much because you're making a difference. Appreciate that.
You. And Dr. Cleveland?
Again, just congratulations. And we're so proud for you and for your school. And you're exactly right. We just could not do the work we do without the support of our counselors. And you do make a difference every day. So it's an honor to be able to recognize you. And we thank you all for coming this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll go on to represent New Mexico on a state level. So, woo!
All right.
Madam President, we're on a roll because last week we had the New Mexico Nurse
That's right.
That's right.
Award of the Year. So
That's right.
congratulations, Sherry, and for your department, your leadership, and and see what you can bring us next board meeting, because we're already on a roll here, so. Okay. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. I just say this last week I was on UNM campus and there was for counselors, they had people, and so I got to meet with one of our counselors at Rancho High School for a few minutes. She just happened to recognize me because of my really short hair, and so I just sat with her, and it was just really sweet, like really sweet experience. We have wonderful individuals in our district, and you are one of those, and we're grateful for our counselors. So thank you so much for being here. All right, now I'm all emotional. Okay. All right, we'll go into our public comment. So for our public comment for the evening, we have one in-person public comment, and then we have 3 that came in through our online form. And I'm going to quickly go through our public comment that came through our online form. And if anyone's interested in doing that, you can go to the RRPS board page and you can give public comment there. And then after that, we'll go into our in-person public comment. Okay, so for our first public comment is Michelle McQuarrie, and she would like an updated dress code policy and for the district to look back at that policy and see if there's things that we could do to update. Our next one is Claudia Stovall with Puesta del Sol, concerns about with moving that many students into other elementary schools, that possibility, concerns that there could be overcrowding. And then our last one that came through our public comment form is from Jenny Beadle, and she's concerned about the need for free after-school programs and some of the costs that are associated with having those programs after school. And so those are our 3 comments that came in through our form. Our public comment that is inside the boardroom, I just want to remind everyone, so you have about 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes to give your public comment. JC will have a timer over there so that it will go off at the 3-minute mark. And the board is not able to comment back. And so I always bring that up because it seems kind of awkward often, but we're not able to comment back tonight unless it's on our agenda. And so with that, we have Cassie Kangas. She'd like to go ahead and come up. Thank you. And then when you start talking, the timer will start for you. You're good.
Sorry, my printer decided to retire 2 days ago. So, hello, board members. My name is Cassie Kangas. My son, Jossie Chavez, attends Rio Rancho Elementary School as a 5th grader. He's a happy, healthy kid now, but that was not always the case. When he was 7, we found out he was suffering from horrible symptoms. We found out he had celiac disease. It's an autoimmune disorder that makes the body attack the small intestines when gluten is introduced to the system. It can lead to major medical repercussions. I'm going to try and cut this down a little. And it's also recognized by the Americans with Disabilities Act. And herein lies the problem. Jossie cannot receive a safe lunch at Rio Rancho Public Schools. We've had this issue for a couple of years already, 2 different elementary schools, and any response I've gotten has been, we can offer a gluten-free bun. Unfortunately, that doesn't work for celiac disease. It's much more complicated than that. If you get 50 parts per million of gluten in his system, he will get sick. That means that anything that's marinated with a soy sauce is off the table for him. So it's not as simple as just replacing a bun. So my concern is that Rio Rancho Public Schools has a legal obligation to provide safe lunches for all of its students. That is part of federal funding, which is attached to the ADA. So I would like to see this issue taken seriously. I would like to get a response, hopefully, in regards as to how this is going to be handled. And if I do not get a response, I will file a grievance with the Office for Civil Rights with the Department of Education. I do think that this is an urgent issue that has been pushed aside because parents have not stood up for their kids who have had celiac disease and who have had to deal with the food services and get either no response or a very limited response. There is no training, there is no protocol, and there is no safe lunch at Rio Rancho Public Schools for my kid. So that is my concern. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. We're always grateful to receive public comment. For those who would like to come in, you're always welcome to come in and just sign in before our board meeting starts and you can give public comments. So thank you so much for being here tonight. Okay, we'll now go to our consent agenda. Is there any questions on the consent or motion?
Is it, Board Member Gary Tripp, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, I second.
We have a motion by Gary Tripp and a second by Jeff Morgan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0. Okay, we'll now move into the business portion of our meeting for the evening. We'll start with the considering the resolution of 24-001, the Open Meetings Act. David Mann, our general counsel, will present.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Cleveland, before you for your approval is the Open Meetings Act resolution for 24-25. This is essentially the same as last year. Very little has been changed. As you know, and as Dr. Cleveland introduced earlier in the meeting, we're required under the Open Meetings Act to determine or reaffirm at least once annually the rules that govern our open meetings. And so that's all this is. It lays out the rules that govern what we do. It's the status quo from last year. The only substantive change is to paragraph 3, where we've removed the link to the board book, because of course now we use Diligent. So that's been updated. And then we have, of course, the new calendar as an attachment at the end. But I stand for any questions that you might have.
Questions, Beth, on this one? Any questions from the board? Jessica, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
Okay. Dr. Cleveland, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I do not.
Okay. I will go for a motion.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, I make a motion to approve the consideration resolution of number 24-001, Open Meetings Act.
Board Member Beth Miller, I second the motion.
Okay. We got a motion by Jeff Morgan and a second by Beth Miller. And JC, if you'll take a roll call vote for us.
Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Tyler,
Yes.
Board Member Tripp,
Yes.
Board Member Miller,
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yep. Yes. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We'll now go to our second business item, which is considering the approval of the board resolution 24-002, authorizing the issuance of sale of general obligation school bonds series 2024. Catherine McKinney will be presenting this, and we also have Chris Muirhead and Eric Harrigan here for any questions.
Thank you, President Galbraith, members of the board, Superintendent Cleveland. I'm Catherine McKinney and Chris Muirhead here with the model firm, your bond counsel. Before you tonight is a resolution authorizing $20 million in general obligation bonds. This is the first installment of the $80 million that voters approved last fall at the November 2023 election. The resolution includes an official notice of bond sale for the bonds to be sold pursuant to a competitive sale. It's a bidding where bidders submit their bids for the bonds, and then the bonds are awarded to the bidders submitting the best bid and the lowest cost to the district for the interest. The resolution authorizes the superintendent or the executive director of finance to determine the final terms of the bonds within the parameters established in the resolution. Those are set out in section 4 of the resolution. And then those final results or the final terms of the bonds are reported back to the board just as an informational item. The resolution also includes approval of the paying agent registrar agreement. That's, I think, an attachment in your board book. That's with Bank of Albuquerque, and also covenants related to the tax exempt status of the bonds. So after tonight, there will be an official statement prepared. That's the disclosure documents that's used to market the bonds. The sale is projected to be on October 8th. And then from that point, the closing is set for October 30th, and then the funds will be available for the district to spend on the projects. I'm happy to answer any questions about the resolution or the process or any of the other details.
Okay, thank you. Beth Miller, do you have any questions?
I don't, thank you.
Questions? Any questions? Gary, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the board resolution number 24-002, authorizing insurance and sales of general obligation school bond series 2024.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Gary Tripp and a second by Jeff Morgan. And JC will take a roll call vote for us.
Vice President Morgan.
Yes.
Secretary Tyler.
Yes.
Board Member Tripp.
Yes.
Board Member Miller.
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
want to thank you all for coming out. We really appreciate it and all the hard work that you do on it. It's some good things. Do you want to add anything, Dr.
Yeah,
Cleveland?
again, just thank you for your hard work on this. And we're excited as always as we move into this important sales. So we wish you the very best and helping us find the very best. But thank you. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And hopefully we can get more for more projects.
Yes,
That's the
yeah.
hope, always the hope. So thank you. All right, these next items that we have, oh no, we have one more item. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. I got excited. Our next will be to consider the approval of the Memorandum of Understanding for Math Implementation and Impact Study. And we have Happy Miller, our Executive Director of RADA, who will be presenting, along with Stephanie Moore.
Thank you. Rio Rancho has been invited to participate in a 2-year study with West Ed. And I think it's a great opportunity for us. Over a 2-year period, the study will help math instructional leaders better understand and support the implementation and impact of their math programs and examine the relationship between high-quality curriculum implementation and student outcomes. And the student outcomes include both academic outcomes and attitudinal outcomes such as motivation, engagement, and persistence. There is minimal impact on the students. The students will take a survey twice a year. The survey is about 15 minutes long, asking them about their perceptions about their math instruction for the 5 previous classes. So they don't have additional tests. They don't have additional assignments. It's not taking them away from their planned instruction in any way. It's really reflection for the districts on the implementation. I'm going to ask Ms. Moore to tell you a little bit more about the support for the adults as she leads the implementation team.
So the adults will be involved in surveys also and then interviews. The timing of this is just about perfect. One, math is a focus area for CNI, but also in a year, we will be reviewing instructional materials. So the opportunity to really see where we are and what we're doing and how we're utilizing what we have in front of reviewing materials and selecting materials that we will be committed to for 6 years will give us some good foundation with our middle school teams to hopefully start making some better gains as we move forward and select materials that will be supportive of closing any gaps that we are seeing.
Ready for Dr. Cleveland?
I think it's an exciting opportunity for us. And so thank you for your hard work and kind of pulling this together. And but I do think it'll really benefit our students. As you probably are aware, at the state level, one of the state's priorities of the next 2 years is to redesign middle school education in our state. And one of the areas that's driving that is concern about math performance. And so it couldn't be better timing for that new initiative at the state level and for really a renewed interest in middle school mathematics. So again, thank you for your hard work in getting this pulled together.
Thank you. Other questions from the board? Go ahead, Gary.
I just wanted to compliment this because when I read it, it uses the word curriculum. And when you went through your educational studies and your educational courses, it was about quality curriculum. So this will give teachers a really good understanding if that whole picture is working. So thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Any other questions? Okay. Anything else from you all on this matter? Okay. Anyone wants to create a motion?
Make a motion to consider, make a motion for the approval of the Memorandum of Understanding for Math Implementation and Impact Study.
Board Member Beth Miller, I second the motion.
We have a motion by Gary Tripp and a second by Beth Miller, and JC will take a roll call vote for us.
Vice President Morgan.
Yes.
Secretary Tyler.
Yes.
Board Member Tripp,
Yes.
Board Member Miller,
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just feel like you come in here and it's like so fast, but I know the implementation process has been this huge thing. So sometimes I wish we could do more for all that. So thank you for coming in. Okay, our next items, Lauren Hatch, our Chief Legal Counsel, will be presenting, and we're going to work through items 4 through 11, which are resolutions. Let's see, it starts with 324-003 all the way to 24-0110. 0110, 10. I don't know. That's not working. And so, Lauren, I don't know if you want to present or just go right into questions, but I'll hand it over to you.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Cleveland, pleasure to be here tonight talking about resolutions. I think we had a pretty extensive discussion last time. I believe the board has been able to see the drafts. I'm not sure what else I could add than what Dr. Cleveland said earlier. I did, on one of the items, I did notice a typo that we probably will want to correct.
Okay.
But I stand for any questions on resolution 24-003 or the others.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So we can go to the board. One thing I did want to bring up, and I was curious, Dr. Cleveland and I, just as we were setting agendas, we were talking about the one on transportation. And so I want to make sure everyone is good with that one on transportation. Dr. Cleveland had some concerns, just because they have just done some great things for us. I don't know if you want to add anything or if you have different thoughts and feelings on that resolution or.
The only concern is they fully funded it for the first time in probably 15 years. And so they funded it operationally. And so we're really pleased with that and don't want to appear that we're not grateful that we have a full funding this year. But we are still short in terms of school buses, the equipment, and then ability to recruit and retain drivers. So that was the only issue I brought up is, it's, do we want to separate out the operation and the buses or just leave it? And I think it's fine to leave it. But we made a real strong effort to thank legislators that we have spoken with about the fully funding this year. The other thing is, while we were funded fully for the first time in at least 15 years, other districts lost money when this was done. And so I think there's also a concern that why can't we just pay transportation, and all districts should get their money, and all districts should have sufficient equipment to run their operation. And so that's kind of the message I think that's in this resolution. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's just about Rio Rancho. It doesn't appear to be. So we made those modifications based on that conversation.
No, that was good. I did go through it and saw that, and I thought it was good. I just wanted to make sure you didn't have any more concerns on that one. Go ahead, Gary Tripp.
If we're just talking about all of them, I just wanted to.
If we're just talking about all of them, I just wanted to bring up the one on special education positions. I agree with it, but at the last 2 years, the meetings I've been at, there's been a big push by districts for bilingual funding, particularly just to bilingual. There's been in the past physical education teachers for in increasing the number of positions at the elementary level to deal with our obesity in our society. So there's a lot of issues. I've seen in the past where there's been a big push for an increased salary to math and science teachers. So we get into that difficulty, and that's just what I just want to inform the board. I think that one is more controversial, even though everybody agrees on it. Everybody has a different issue in different parts of the state. I remember last year bilingual in Gadsden School District. They were so short, and it's a crisis. So, I mean, they're all good. I just want to make sure we know that a lot of them are still big fights.
Yeah, and as we put these forward, we have to understand, I guess, that New Mexico School Board Association and Gary's on part of that committee, that they might not take all of these that we put forward. and that's okay, but I think we could still put them forward, right? And maybe there's some others that come from
yeah,
others.
I think of the majority, we haven't had one not be accepted by the whole positions of the board, but we haven't had the special education before. So, but I think they'll all be, especially if we support the other particular areas that come out,
Definitely. Dr. Kim, did you want to ask?
I do believe that Gaston is probably going to bring something forward on bilingual. So we're kind of counting on them, they have one of the highest percentages of children who speak a language other than English as their first language. So we're hoping, and I think they are prepared, from what I understand, they're going to bring that forward. And you're exactly right, we have needs in every area. There isn't any area we have that's completely covered, every grade level, every content area, and so forth. Special ed, though, does remain our largest area of vacancy, both in terms of teachers and educational assistants by far. So just in the sense of sheer numbers, special ed vacancies still are the hardest to fill. So that might be a little bit of a rationale for identifying that, given that it is our highest level of the highest vacancy rate of all of our areas. So the other, I think, is the major increase in number of children with disabilities. We have seen this right before this meeting. We were looking, Jerry Reed, our executive director for special services, was showing me the increases in the number of children entering in special ed programs this year in this school district. And so it's going to make that shortage even more difficult this year and next year. We're just seeing more children identified, and particularly children on the highest ends, the highest need kids. And these are some of the most challenging children to teach. And so finding people, we're just struggling to find people who have the credentials, who want to do the job, and who will stay on the job. So I think that was the discussion. It's the hardest area right now we have in terms of being fully staffed.
Jessica, did you have any questions or comments that you wanted to make on the resolutions?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? Jeff, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I didn't, but Lauren, you said there was one that you needed us to look at because it was a typo.
Yeah.
I don't want to forget that.
Madam President, Mr. Morgan, it's Resolution 24005, the transportation one, actually. If you look at whereas clause number 4, there's a date in there, 2023-24. I think it's supposed to be 2024-25. And then the same in the 5th whereas clause, the date.
Mm-hmm.
It has been corrected for this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So that date would change on both.
We will get that
I would
fixed.
suggest updating that.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions from the boards? As we go to approve these, we can handle all of them, but we need to name out all of them, or we can do them each one by one and go through. I guess my question is, Gary, I know some of these you're not so sure, and so I don't know if we want to handle them all together or if it would be better to handle them one by one.
I don't know what the legal way is. I was just going to suggest, I don't know how we're going to put them forth, but it's always,
I think we should, Madam President, I think we should do them one by one, so that way people can vote. That way, if there's ones that somebody doesn't want to vote for, we can just handle them each individually.
That's the cleanest way to do it.
Yep.
Sure.
Lauren, you might want to get a chair and sit down then.
Yeah. With that, Madam
Sitting
President,
all day. I'm on.
I can make a motion.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution NMSBA resolution number 24-003, support for career technical education.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, I second.
Okay. So I have Jessica Tyler and Jeff Morgan, and then JC will take a roll call vote.
Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Tyler,
Yes.
Board Member Tripp,
yes.
Board Member Miller,
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to our next, which is 24-004, benefits and structure.
Madam President, this is Board Member Tyler. I'll make a motion to approve
He's on the roll
resolution.
with me, man.
Sorry.
Board Member Jeff
Next.
Morgan, I second.
All right, we have a motion by Jessica Tyler, a second by Jeff Morgan, and JC, if you'll do the roll call vote.
Vice President Morgan?
Yes.
Secretary Tyler?
Yes.
Board Member Tripp?
Yes.
Board Member Miller?
Yes.
President Galbraith?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Madam
Next
President.
is
board
resolution
member-
NMSBA Resolution 24-005, transportation.
Yes, this is Board Member Tyler. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution NMSBA Resolution number 24-005, transportation, with amending the dates to reflect the 2024-2025 school year.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, I second.
Okay, Jessica Tyler and Jeff Morgan, and if you'll take a roll call vote for us, JC.
Vice President Morgan?
Yes.
Secretary Tyler?
Yes.
Board Member Tripp?
Yes.
Board Member Miller?
Yes.
President Galbraith?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Next is NMSBA Resolution 24-006, school safety.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, I make a motion to approve the resolution in MSBA Resolution number 24-006, school safety.
Board Member Beth Miller, I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Jeff Morgan and a second by Beth Miller, and if you'll do a roll call vote for us, please.
Vice President Morgan?
Yes.
Secretary Tyler?
Yes.
Board Member Tripp?
Yes.
Board Member Miller?
Yes.
President Galbraith?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Next, we'll consider resolution NMSBA Resolution 24-007, teacher licensure advancement.
Board Member Gary Tripp, I make a motion for resolution NMSBA Resolution number 24-007, teacher licensure advancement.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, I second.
Motion by Gary Tripp, second by Jeff Morgan. And if you'll take a roll call vote for us.
Vice President Morgan?
Yes.
Secretary Tyler?
Yes.
Board Member Tripp?
Yes.
Board Member Miller?
Yes.
President Galbraith?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Yeah. Next is NMSBA Resolution 24-008, special education positions.
Board Member Gary Tripp, I make a motion to approve resolution NMSBA Resolution number 24-008, special education positions.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, I second.
Motion by Gary Tripp, second by Jeff Morgan, and if we'll do a roll call vote.
Vice President Morgan?
Yes.
Secretary Tyler?
Yes.
Board Member Tripp?
Yes.
Board Member Miller?
Yes.
President Galbraith?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Next is to consider the resolution of NMSBA Resolution 24-009, increase in capital improvement funding.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, I make a motion to approve resolution number 24-009, increase in capital improvement funding.
Board Member Beth Miller, I second.
We have a motion by Jeff Morgan and a second by Beth Miller, and roll call vote, please, JC.
Vice President Morgan?
Yes.
Secretary Tyler?
Yes.
Board Member Tripp?
Yes.
Board Member Miller?
Yes.
President Galbraith?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And last is to consider the resolution NMSBA Resolution 24-010, cybersecurity.
Board Member Beth Miller, I move to approve the NMSBA Resolution number 24-010, cybersecurity.
Board Member Gary Tripp, I second.
Motion by Beth Miller, second by Gary Tripp, and roll call vote, please.
Vice President Morgan?
Yes.
Secretary Tyler?
Yes.
Board Member Tripp?
Yes.
Board Member Miller?
Yes.
President Galbraith?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I didn't look up from my paper, I think, there for a few moments. Appreciate it. Dr. Cleveland, anything on the left on the resolutions that you want to add before we move on?
No,
from this?
just thank you for your feedback, and we hope they'll take some of them. We realize there are 89 districts that are submitting resolutions, so certainly not all of them will make the final list for the School Boards Association, but there's real value, I think, in just sending them, because it spurs the conversation among school board members across the state. And if it doesn't make it this year, it might make it the next year. But it's part of that educational process, which we share needs across the state. So I think it's time that is well spent and it really does help move things forward in the future. So thank you for your effort and your feedback.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Lauren Hatch.
Thank you, Lauren.
All right, going into advanced planning. So September 2nd, there's no school for Labor Day. On September 5th will be Arts Integration New Mexico Art Workshop here in the boardroom. September 9th, regular board meeting that one is canceled. And then September 16th, there'll be a special board meeting here. And then the 17th will be a bond rating call. And the 23rd will be an audit committee meeting along with a regular board meeting. Does anyone have any questions on anything upcoming or any comments?
Well, just that the workshop, you are very welcome to attend. It's for our staff. But if you are free that day, and maybe if you're not going on the visit, it would give you an opportunity to learn more about integrated arts. So you'd be very welcome to attend. And if you are interested, then talk with JC and we'll get you more information.
Okay, that sounds good. Any other comments or questions on this? Okay. All right, our meeting for tonight's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.